On today's postpartum fit, there's this other Dendebula dress that I converted. So backstory, this dress was used for a practical when I was running a program sometimes last year in the early days of my pregnancy. So I attended this training called the Rural Station Lab 2.0 organized by the A Plus agency. And in this particular session of the training, we were taught how to make garments using the zero waste technique. This means that you can make dress without actually cutting out any piece, however small. And this dress I'm wearing in this picture was actually made using the zero waste pattern making technique. I used 1.5 yards of chiffon to make a dress, and I used the entire 6 yards of Ankara to make this skirt. So this design was made cutting out nothing at all from the fabric. Let me show you a little clip on the transformation of this particular outfit.
Welcome to my postpartum fit. This outfit really went through a lot with me. Two-piece gown and skirt combo. Before, dress silhouette was a rectangle cut, slit sleeves with shoulder pleat detail made with zero waist pattern. And the skirt was a fully gathered 6 yard piece, also made with zero waist pattern. Converted to a middle length sheath dress with a dolman on the bust cut bodice and a detachable waist peplum.
Welcome back. I know you're here for the gist, you're here for the tea. Even me, don't back, but that's why I'm here. So let's get straight. Now, if you've been following my series, you shouldn't be lost at this particular point. So after crying my eyes out and the short sermon by my husband in the car to put me in the right emotional frame of mind for what we were going for, we got to the hospital and I was attended to by another doctor who also happened to be a consultant, who also happens to be the owner of the hospital. So we got there and told him why we have finally come. Oh. Of course, they already had my medical history and was in the know of everything that was going on all along. So he checked me that day and said, Madam, why do you want to have a CS? You're not going to have a CS because you're already dilating. At that point, I was about 5 centimeters dilated. And he said, don't worry, I know that you're panicking, but at this stage where you are, there is no reason for panic, there's no cause for alarm, just calm down. I am going to make it a point of duty and I'm going to see to it that you give birth to this child vaginally because there is no reason for CS whatsoever. You're progressing fine and you're doing well. Oh, okay, I almost missed out this part. When we got there, before he checked me while I was waiting, another nurse attended to me and wanted to see how my contractions were going and so that I could report to the doctor before I saw the doctor. So I was having contractions. The contractions were coming, but they were painless, completely painless. I wasn't even feeling a thing. And nurse goes, Madam, are you sure you're having contractions? And I'll be like, look at it. At those points when I was having the contractions, my stomach would feel very strong, I mean, very hard. And she was saying that it was very, very obvious, but I just wasn't feeling pain. And she goes, you can't be having contraction and be this relaxed. I said, okay, she would try to time the contraction. So she was trying to time it for me. She would tell me to tell her when another episode started. So I would tell her, okay, I'm feeling that, but it's not paining me. She was like, are you serious? So fast forward to when the doctor saw me. The doctor saw me and saw that I was already dilating. I was about 5 centimeters gone. And doctor said he was going to see to it that I did not have a C, that I gave birth vaginally because I could do that. So for the fact that I had been having the contractions from the previous day, in fact, from like forever ago, and the progress was not that fast. So I asked to be induced with my soul. I told them specifically that I didn't want pitocin or this one that they hang and they give you drip. I didn't want that one. So I just wanted something that would hasten because I was already tired from the whole process and I just wanted to do this and just move on with my life. I was induced with that, and there was a particular dosage they gave me, which now hastened the contractions, heightened it, and made it a lot more painful. This was the beginning of another experience entirely because now I was in pains. I was really, really in pain. So the contractions were coming. So the pain was gradually becoming more intense by the hour. The doctor had told me that day that by evening, with that MySo I was given, by evening I was going to put to bed. So we were all waiting. While waiting, my husband and I took a walk. We went to eat. We were just like whiling away time, while waiting for the contractions to, get active enough for the baby to come out. And in between all of that, the doctor had to go home and left me in the good hands of two midwives and told me that I should not worry. By midnight, this baby is gonna come. And then he checked me before going. At that time, I was about 6 centimeters dilated. And at this point, I was really tired because now the contractions were coming with pains and it was taking long to move from 5 centimeters to 6 centimeters. I wasn't understanding, I wasn't having it anymore. But he encouraged me that I should not worry. By midnight, this baby would come. That he's giving me his word and he's going to see to it that I give birth vaginally. I'm so glad that he's committed to that. But that's by the way. So I continue waiting. So I continued moving around, doing some exercise with the hope that this baby is going to come anytime soon. But the pains were more intense this time. It was getting unbearable. Like I couldn't have it anymore. Thanks to God for my husband, he kept encouraging me that you that you waited from 1 centimeter, you're already at 6. I think I was 6. And yeah, you're already at 6 centimeters. You can do it. So my husband was giving me the aspire to Maguire to perspire vibe, encouraging me and motivating me that I could do it. So I kept on, and it was evening. I was hungry again. I needed to eat. He had to go get me something to eat. So in between everything, I was finding time to eat because I needed strength for the journey ahead. So it got into the midnight, and the pains were, I think intense is a very polite way to use. The pains were bad. They were excruciating. So I would groan through the pains, be in my elements. I would listen to music. When I got tired of the music, I would stop the music. I would go to WhatsApp, go to Instagram. I was just doing things to while away time. And because it was midnight, luckily I was the only patient in the maternity ward that day. The hospital was quiet. It gave me time to process my pains, process my thoughts, just be in my elements without any disturbance. Even the midwives that were left to check me were not disturbing me. They were just coming to check if I was fine. And when it was time to check me, they would do their job and go and encourage me. It was just so homely. It felt like I was experiencing it in my own home without all the hustle and bustle of the hospital. And I'm grateful that it happened around that time. So this happened all through the night with myself and my birth partner, and our family members were just on the phone checking the progress, and it felt like I had the experience I wanted to have, but just not in the way I had imagined it or planned it. So this happened and lingered till daybreak. And by the time I was checked again, I was about 8 centimeters dilated. You see, at that monument, at that point, I said I'm not doing again. In Shemo, I am tired. So I told my husband that I couldn't go on. I just wanted this baby to be brought out of me. Let them just rest. And he asked me, is that what you want? See, anything you want, that's what I'm gonna support. I told him I was sure that was what I wanted because it was I was laboring. I understood the true meaning of labor. I was just in labor for the most part of the time and I wasn't having it anymore. So I told him that's what I really wanted. So we called my doctor and told him this is what we have decided. And he said, okay, even though he was not supposed to be in the hospital until around 10 or much later in the day, that because of me, he would start coming. This was around 5 or 6 a.m. in the morning. So he called I don't know what they call them. Is he anesthetic? Are they anesthesiology? Are they anesthesia? I don't know because I didn't even read about this because that was not my birth plan or that was not. So I didn't really give my thoughts to having a C-section. So they called the other person. So a few hours they were with me and the process started. And you see all this while I've been doing things. In few minutes, I just said, meh, meh, and in my head. So that's it. Anyways, at this point, it looks like we have come to the end of the story. For those who have been coming for me that the suspense is too much, I hope I'm free right now. But then there's still another plot twist. Yeah, baby is out, mother and baby doing fine. But during the surgery, another thing happened. See, it wasn't my plan. But ladies and gentlemen, I'll see you in the next episode. Peace out.